Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, my guest is Dan McCool with Dr. ColorChip. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you having me.
So this is not your first time in Akron.
No, I actually went to school in Cleveland at John Carroll University, so I'm familiar with the area. I haven't visited back here, though, in about 25 years.
Well, welcome back.
It's a little bit too cold, and I'm down in Florida now. So
yeah. Well, you know, Akron has 2 nice weeks every year.
They do.
There's like one before it gets super hot, and there's like one before it gets super cold.
That's right. That's right. I think there's 2 months a year that the weather is as good as it can get anywhere in the country right here, but the other 10 months, not so much.
Yeah. Well, let's talk business. Tell me a little bit about your career path that led you to where you are today with Dr. ColorChip.
Sure. I went to school here in Ohio, was in the investment world. An investment manager, advisor. Got out of that, went to Chicago in 1991 to get into the commercial real estate business. And I ended up buying a company there, spent about 6 years in Chicago, but was not a big fan of the weather. I had just had my 3rd child and decided it would be nice if we could move down to Florida. I was doing some real estate work down in Florida and picked up and moved down to Florida in 97 and then have been there since. I did real estate down there. It wasn't quite the market opportunity that you would see in Chicago. So I was looking for other ways to make additional money. My wife traveled quite a bit. And so I was really with my kids. And when I was doing real estate in Florida, I was doing rehab projects. And so I'd have to take my 3 kids to rehab properties, and I would put them inside the home, and I would work all day. And I was basically a father whose wife traveled between road trips and was home, half the time. And then when the economy kind of went south in early 2000, 2002, 2001, 2002, I had the opportunity to try a paint system that was being used by a friend of mine. And it was really an easy wipe-on, wipe-off application. And I was like, I was intrigued. I thought, this is quite simple, and I could do this and do it part-time and pretty much control my schedule, be with my kids. And so I did. And I purchased a system and started using it and realized there was a lot of improvements that could be made. And so that's when I started developing paints on my own. I worked out of my garage, mixed paints in my garage, just experimented, and came up with a system that was improved and have developed it from there. And so that's how it started.
Let's talk about dealerships. Recon is a common word in every dealership these days. Everybody wants, it used to be, let's take a car that didn't look so great, make it look better so we can sell it quicker for more money. Now it's really become, the quicker is really a big deal to dealerships these days. They want to squeeze every last turn out of that inventory that they can in order to maximize, profits.
Right.
How does a paint system like yours help dealerships improve their recon?
Well, it's important, and all these dealerships have been pretty much forced to be able to compete, because it's not just you're competing in your local market. You're competing in the entire country against everything that's online. And that's the market now. So you got to make your cars look better. You have to turn the inventory quicker. The margins at times can be lower than they were. And so you have to be very efficient at doing that. And the Dr. ColorChip system allows you to do that. You don't have to move your cars off the lot. Sometimes when you have a lot of cars that need to be reconditioned, you'll have to move those off the lot for 4 or 5 days. Well, you're missing an opportunity for that car to be in front of a prospective buyer and selling it and turning it and getting on to the next used car. So our system, we offer a variety of commercial systems, but it allows you to quickly, while the car, don't have to move the car, you can use our process. It's the wipe-on, wipe-off process. Most cars will take anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes to complete the entire repair, and that's doing the entire vehicle. And so it's quick, it's easy. It looks much better than the other conventional methods that were available back 20 years ago when I started the business. Our repairs from 3 feet, in most cases, you won't even know there was any damage there. And that's the goal. And our system allows you to do that. One of our bigger businesses is the DIY kit. And the DIY kits are end users who want to touch up their own car. And if it's easy enough for them to do it, if you have our commercial system at your dealership, a person who's using it every day is going to become an expert quite quickly.
Mm-hmm. Let's stay with the DIY for a minute.
Okay.
Probably anybody who's ever been in a parts department, even as a customer, has seen the little pens, and if they've ever tried one, they know.
Yeah.
The result is certainly not 3 feet. You can't tell.
Right.
If you're not wearing your glasses, maybe.
Right.
It's more like 10 feet. You still can.
Yeah.
Why is your system different than that?
Our system's a process. It's a 3-step process: paint application, leveling the paint over the damaged area, and then coming back with what is our Seal Act finishing agent, and that smooths, removes the excess paint that's not in just the damaged area, and flattens the paint, and then you just buff it with a microfiber towel and you're done. You can do 15, 20 chips in really 10 minutes. The paint's designed, we make it differently. The paint's designed to dry extremely quickly. So you can apply it. We use squeegees to flatten the paint over the chip. That way you don't have a blob of paint. The paint pens really are just a vessel to have paint in them. There's no process there. You do your best if you're good with dexterity and you can be very gentle. You might get enough paint out of that paint pen. A lot of times, though, you'll have paint around the exterior and you'll have a little blob of paint covering the chip. It's not a real good look. And if you end up with a bunch of bumps of paint on the hood of your car, it doesn't look any better than when you started.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes it looks worse than the chips.
Right. And so our process, it's not a body shop in a bottle type repair, but it's a really good visual repair. And once that paint's cured, which is typically about 30 days, it's a permanent repair.
Nice. Well, let's talk about profit for a dealership. Anything that a dealership sells in their parts department is there for them to earn a profit on it. Tell me about how that how the different paint solutions add up when the dealership is selling them.
On the DIY or on the commercial side?
Oh, on the DIY.
On the DIY side, what we do, we offer the DIY kits that we sell direct to our customers. Mm-hmm. We offer that as an accessory to the car dealerships and to the OEMs so that they can sell it direct to their customers. We do all the headache of fulfilling. We can custom fulfill and ship direct to the customer. So it takes the headache of having to maintain a lot of inventory at the dealerships. And they're making far more money selling our product than they would selling the traditional paint pen.
So at the dealership level, they don't have all the colors there. They just ask you what you want, and you do the shit. Like, they don't even touch it. They don't even have to touch it.
Right. They don't have to touch it if they don't want it. They could carry the most popular colors that they on the cars that they're predominantly selling. They could carry a small amount of inventory in their service center. So if a customer comes up and wants to order it, and they happen to have it, they can capture the sale there, or they can just go on to their computer and type it in. Order comes to us. We can drop ship direct to the customer.
Oh, that's
it's quick, easy, and it drastically improves the dollars that are going to the dealer. Prior to us offering a product like we offer, most dealers were bothered by having to worry about little touch-up bottles or paint pens. They were selling them for $10, $12 in some cases. Our kits sell for $60 and more. And the dealers will make over 100% margins on their sale of our system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now what if a dealer or a dealer group or a manufacturer, what if somebody wants to have their own? They want a private label.
Yeah, we'll do private labeling, and it's essentially our system. We offer a variety. I mean, we will custom create a packaging system. It really depends on what level the dealer wants to go with. You can go a real high-end packaging, which we've done for OEMs, or you can go with the basic packaging, which will be a lesser expensive package, but you'll still be able to double what their costs would be. They'll be able to double that and sell it to their customer and still be at a good price level. And, if you want to really capture if you're a larger dealership or you're a big OEM brand, there's millions and millions of captive customers you could have if you can continue to be in touch with them. You got to communicate with them. You can't just do a car sale and maybe you'll see that customer 2-3 years down the road when they want to get another car.
Yeah.
You need to stay in touch with them. And that's what you can do in the e-commerce world. You could have automated emails going out to your customers, follow-ups, and you can have the accessory offerings that are actually going to not only make your customer happy, but they're going to make the dealership more money, and they're going to maintain that relationship with the customer. And that's the key. It's much more competitive, and you really have to pay attention to that in today's world, because if you don't, you're falling behind.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with some of the tools that dealers have, these, they could probably even send you a picture of the color of your car in the kit and say, it's your second anniversary. Would you like this kit for 25% off? Dealer's still going to make some money, but that sounds like it's a great way to stay in touch. And it's
right.
It says, and when it arrives at their house, now it says the dealership's name on it. And how does that work? Like, I mean, do you pre-package all the colors, or do you grab the color that the customer's going to need and then you put it in the dealer's packaging and then you ship it?
We will custom it. If it's a direct drop ship to the customer, we'll just custom it as they come in.
As they come in.
And we're doing thousands of these a week, and so we're used to doing it. We go through our inventory very quickly, so it's fresh paint. It's not sitting on the shelves waiting to be sold, which is another advantage when you have a company like ours who can actually do the custom mixing when the product is needed. You don't want paint sitting on the shelf for a year or longer, because paint does have a shelf life, and if you have paint pens sitting in the service center for a year or two, you're not giving a customer a fresh batch of paint, and there can be problems with that. So we do it as ordered. If a dealership wants to maintain an inventory of their more popular colors, we can help them identify what those colors are, and they can carry a small amount of those in inventory just to fulfill the popular walk-in orders.
When I was working in a dealership and selling cars, I can't tell you how many times you'd open the glove box on a car you just took in on trade, and there's the paint pen. It's a 3-year-old car, 4-year-old car, 5-year-old car. I know. I guess that paint was probably totally expired.
Yeah, even if paint remains liquid, and over time it could dry out and just be rock hard inside the paint pen or in a bottle, and that's paint in general. But even house paint, you don't want to be using house paint that's sitting in your garage for more than a year, because its binding properties will break down, and you can tell if you're used to working with paint. You can see in older paint they'll get clumpy, and it's not a good idea. If people maintain a little bit of house paint in a small quart to do a little touch-up work around the house if they damage the walls, but if you're ready to paint your house new, you don't go into your garage looking for old paint. You go out and you buy what you need to do the job. And that's why we've kind of grown our company. We're as needed, you get what you want, and we're going to get it to you quickly. And it's going to be fresh, and then we guarantee the color match, which is important because there's a lot of colors out there, and it happens. There's times where we make the most popular version of that particular color. Well, there's 8 variants of that color. If our customer has a problem, we will remix it. We talk to them, is it too dark? Is it too light? Confirm the code. That's important. Sometimes people think they have a certain color. They didn't confirm the code on the car, and then we make the color that they thought it was, and it's wrong. But it happens. We have we want to make our customers happy. If a customer is unhappy in the end, and we've gone through the effort, and we just can't get it right for them, we'll refund their deposit or their purchase. As again, it's important to have happy customers.
Yeah, I want to talk more about the ease of use, and I can talk from experience because I used one of your kits on my wife's car a few years ago, and it was easy. But let's talk about how easy it is. Let's talk about share the process from start to finish, because I think it's really kind of unbelievable how simple it is for somebody who's never done it before to have a result that looks like I spent hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, there is. It's an extremely simple system to use, and it needs to be because the end user has to be able to, the very first time they get it, use it and have good results. It's a wipe-on, wipe-off process. So when you get a paint kit from Dr. ColorChip, The bottle of paint could be a 1/2 ounce or a 1 ounce bottle. It doesn't take a lot of paint to do a touch-up repair job. But there's BBs in those bottles of paint. When you get the kit and you open up the package, you take the bottle out, check to make sure it's the correct code. The bottle's going to have the code on it on the top. Shake it up for 10 seconds aggressively to get the paint mixing, because the paint will separate over time. So shake it up, and then depending on what application method you want to use, you have to get the paint from that bottle onto the panel. And what we tell people is you're generally working with chips. You can use it on scratches too, but for chips, you want the paint to be next to the chip, not dropping paint right on the chip, because the next step of the process is leveling that paint out over the chip. Our recommended method is to use a squeegee. We offer beveled squeegees, and you can use that squeegee to wipe across the paint, and as it goes over the chip, it falls into the chip. It also thins the paint out, so that makes the paint dry even quicker, which is nice because 30 seconds to a minute later, if you touch that paint, it's dry to the touch. Then the next step of the process is the Seal-Act blending agent, and it's a pink solution. Again, that separates very quickly, so you got to shake it up before you pour it out onto the white wiping cloth. It's a lint-free wiping cloth. You do about a dollar size section of that cloth with the Seal-Act, and then you use the flat of your hand and you go over where the chip and the dried paint's covering that chip is, and you just lightly, you don't push down hard, you let the Seal-Act soften and remove that excess paint. The paint that's in contact with the exposed panel area, it's going to hold harder than that. So you are able to remove the excess paint. Once you see that all the excess paint around the chip is gone, you take the microfiber towel that comes with the kit, you wipe it, and you're done. And it literally takes a couple minutes to do a chip. And you can work on 5 chips at a time. On a typical hood, when I was doing touch-up at a car dealership, their cars are in pretty good shape. Some of them won't even get a used car that's more than 2 years old. So you might have 10, 15 chips on the hood.
Yeah.
That's where the primary area is for damage. And I can go in there and I can knock that out in 10, 15 minutes. And I'll walk the car looking for damage around the gas cap and on the linings of the doors. But it's quick and easy. And it's very satisfying. We get comments from customers, individuals all the time that said, hey, we got your kit. Can't believe how great it looks. It was so easy to use.
Yeah.
And for the most part, for chip repair type damage, it does a great job.
Nice. Well, Dan, I appreciate you coming to Akron to be on the show with us today. Is there anything more you'd like to share with our audience?
No, I think we covered everything. I certainly appreciate it. For all the car dealerships out there, the dealership chains, the OEMs, this is an opportunity to make what really isn't a money-producing part of your business into a very substantially lucrative part of your business. The accessory part, not only increasing the revenue that you can bring in, but taking care of your customer and making them happy, they're going to come back and buy another car from you. And that's important. People sometimes fail to understand that personal communication, it doesn't have to be on the internet and texting and emails. You can actually go and visit somebody and you can take care of somebody and reach out to them. And the more you do that, the better chances are that you're going to get a customer for life. And, that's what we shoot for.
Great. Well, thank you for coming to Akron.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been, I mean, and it's, how long are you staying in town?
I'm flying out tonight, back down to Palm Beach.
Oh, wonderful.
It's nice and cold here, but
it's nice and cold.
We got to get back.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And thank you for taking the time to join us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today, my guest has been Dan McCool from Dr. ColorChip. This episode is Over the Curb and Burning Gas.